Today I'm going to show you how to make this granny stitch version of my most recent pattern. You can do a lot of different colors, and as you see I have fuzzy yarn in it. It's a lot of fun to do. But for this one you change colors every row. But for this one I used a striping yarn and got the same effect without having to weave in 1,000,000 ends. So this is the one I'll be showing you today, and I will be using this Caron Cinnamon Swirl Cake. As you can see, it's a striping yarn, and those are the best, I think, because this one has like 1,000,000 ends to weave in, and while it was probably the cutest one I've made, it was so much more work. So it's up to you how you want to make it. You can either change colors every row, or you can use a self-striping yarn like I'm going to be using today. So this is the result of the sleeve. I've got one already done, so I'm going to show you how to make the other one. The preparation for the sweatshirt is in my previous video, and I will link that in the description box, and up in the corner here you're welcome to go watch that to see how to prepare it and then come back. For this tutorial you will need a 5.5mm hook, a 3.75mm hook, and a 5.0mm hook. The gauge is listed in the description box. You're also going to need a stitch marker for this. So one ball is not quite enough. I had this much left over from this sleeve, but it's just not quite enough. So you do need 2 of them, or you need about 500 to 600 yards for both sleeves. So this only has 407 yards. It's just not quite enough. So you're going to begin by making a slip knot. You want to leave yourself a little bit of tail to weave in later, and you're going to grab your 3.75mm hook to start. You're always going to start at the underarm seam, so that's what I'm showing you here. I'm going to be starting at this seam right here at the armpit, and I'm just going to insert my hook into the hole that's closest to that seam. So you're going to put your hook in first from the right side to the wrong side, and then you're going to add your slip knot. Then you're just going to pull up a loop, and these are the foundation stitches that you're going to be working into. So I'm just going to loosely slip stitch all the way around. Now you don't want your slip stitches to be too loose, or your sleeve will sag away from the project. But you don't want it too tight either, because then your sleeve will start bunching up and ruffling up and it will look strange. So it does take a little bit of practice, but it creates a really nice edge. So as you can see on this other one, it just looks so professional, I think. But, you could also crochet around the edge if that's your preference. If you prefer to crochet around the edge, you could, make your chain, your beginning chain, and you could single crochet or half double crochet. I prefer half doubles if you're going to do it this way, because it covers up more of the edge there. And you're just going to go all the way around like this. But I don't like it. I think it looks really messy. So the way that I was showing you with the slip stitches, this is what it looks like on the inside. I really feel like it still looks very nice and professional. So that is the way that I'm going to be doing it. You can do it however you want to, but I do prefer to use the slip stitches. But if you're having trouble with it, maybe you do need to crochet around the edge. So here I've come to a place where my rotary blade did not go all the way through. So I am going to create a hole. So I know that it needs to be right in between these 2 holes that I have. I'm just going to use a seam ripper to make the hole that didn't get made whenever I was making my holes. So that's just a little tip there. You could also use a smaller crochet hook that's got a really sharp edge. So just continue doing that all the way around until you get to the end. So here we are at the end. We're not going to join per se like you normally would. You're going to take your hook and pull up a tall loop. Then you're going to take your hook from back to front in that very first hole there. And then you're just going to gently pull that loop to the back of your work. You want to be real gentle with it. You don't want to do it too tightly because we are going to treat this loop as if it was a slip stitch. Now we're going to go ahead and start round 1. So we're going to chain 1, and you will want to switch to your bigger hook. I'm going to be using a 5.5 millimeter hook for the body of the sleeves. We will be working in the back loops only of the slip stitches that we just created. And we are going to start in that stitch that we sort of joined with there. In a moment, I will be switching to the smaller hook for just a moment because I couldn't get into that stitch. But I do recommend that you use the bigger hook. 2 half double crochet in the very first stitch. And I will switch back to that bigger hook now that I have that more difficult stitch made. And you're just simply going to make 1 half double crochet in the back loop only of every slip stitch around until you get to the very last stitch. I do recommend that you sort of fold the material down as you go, and that just helps get in those stitches a little bit easier. So you're just going to continue making 1 half double in the back loop only of every stitch around, and I'll meet you at the very last stitch. So here we are at the very last stitch. I'm going to put 2 stitches in the last stitch to help reduce the gap right there at the seam at the underarm. And before we move any further, you need to stop and count because we need a multiple of 3. And because I have already done the other sleeve, I also have to have the same stitch count for my first round as I did on the other sleeve. So once you get that number, you're just going to slip stitch to join. And for round 2, you're going to chain 3, which will count as a double crochet. And you're going to put 2 more double crochet in the same stitch as joining. Then you're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and we're going to make 3 double crochet in the very next stitch. Then you're going to skip 2 stitches and put 3 double crochet in the next stitch. Then you're going to skip 2 and put 3 double crochet in the next stitch. You're just going to repeat this process all the way around. That's what it should look like. So we've got our granny cluster, then we skip 2, granny cluster, skip 2. You're just going to keep doing that all the way around. So here we are at the end. You should have only 2 stitches to skip, and then you're going to slip stitch in the 3rd chain of the beginning chain 3. Now if you're changing colors, I do recommend going ahead and changing colors. But since I have a striping yarn, I'm just going to chain 3 and turn. You do need to turn for every round. Now we're going to put 2 double crochet in the same space. Go to the next space and you're going to put 3 double crochet in the next space. You're just going to put 3 double crochet in every space around. So just continue doing that all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end. When you get to the end, you're going to join in the top of the beginning chain 3. Now for round 4, you will chain 3 and turn. So you're going to put 2 double crochet in the same space, and then 3 double crochet in every space around. Essentially, you're just repeating the last round. So just continue that all the way around. So here we are at the end. We're going to join with a slip stitch at the top of the beginning chain 3. Now we've done 3 normal rounds. For round 5, we're going to start decreasing. You're going to chain 3 and turn. And so we're going to skip that very first space and move to the next one. And we're going to put 3 double crochet in the next space. And then you're going to grab your stitch marker and you're going to place it in the last space of the round. So that'll be this space right here, because this is our beginning chain 3 right here. Now you're just going to put 3 double crochet in every space until you reach that stitch marker. So just repeat that all the way around. So here we are at the stitch marker. I'm going to go ahead and take it out. We're going to decrease over this space and our beginning space. We're going to bring them together. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the space and pull up a loop. Yarn over, draw through 2 loops on your hook. You're going to do that again. Yarn over, insert your hook into the same space, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2 loops on your hook. Then you're going to move to the next space, the beginning space. You're going to yarn over, insert your hook into that space, pull up a loop. Yarn over, draw through 2 loops on your hook. You should have 4 loops on your hook, just like that. You're going to yarn over and draw through all 4 loops. Then you're going to join with a slip stitch in the 3rd chain of your beginning chain. So there's our decrease. Now we're going to slip stitch once more into the next space. Chain 3 and turn for round 6. Now you're going to put 2 double crochet in the same space. And then you're just going to continue putting 3 double crochet in every space around. So you're just going to continue in this pattern. So you did 3 regular rounds, then you did a round of decrease. Now you're going to do 3 more rounds, followed by a round of decrease. And I will show you one more decreasing round. So I'll meet you after you do these next 3 rounds. So I just finished 3 more rounds of no decreases. Now it's time for another decrease. This should be round 10, by the way. You're going to chain 3 and turn. You're going to skip the first space, just like we did last time, and you're going to make your 3 double crochet in the next space. Then you're going to grab your stitch marker, and you're going to mark the last space of the round. So that'll be this one here. And then, of course, you're just going to continue making 3 double crochet in every space around until you reach that stitch marker. So So here I am at the stitch marker. I'm going to go ahead and remove it, and we're going to do our decrease again. So that's yarn over, insert your hook into this space, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. Then you're going to repeat it in that same space. Then you're going to move to the next space, which would be our beginning space. And you're going to do it one more time. You should have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, draw through all 4 loops. And then slip stitch into the top of your beginning chain. That's what it should look like. There's our decrease. Now we're going to slip stitch once more into the next space. And that's it. That's how you decrease every time. So you're simply going to repeat that. You're going to do 3 normal rounds of no decreases, followed by a decreasing round. And you're just going to keep doing that until it's the desired length. So I usually just use the leftover sleeve that I have to eyeball it. And as you can see, it's about that length. And don't forget that acrylic will stretch over time, and you want to leave room for your cuff. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to decide how long to make it. So you'll do 3 rounds followed by a round of decrease all the way until it's about the size of your wrist. And I'll meet you back here. So if you met my gauge in the description, you should be able to stop at round 36, and I am including the round of half double crochet that we started with. So here I have all of my 36 rounds completed, and I'm about ready to start my cuff. I am going to make my cuff just slightly smaller than this. It's just slightly too big. So I am going to do another round of decreases. And I do want to keep the stitch count of my last round somewhere between 24 and 33 because otherwise you'll have too big of a cuff. So I am switching to a 5.0 millimeter hook for my cuff. And because I have 33 stitches and I'm shooting for 30, I'm going to decrease 3 stitches, which means 3 times over the course of this round. So I'm going to chain 1 and I'm just going to skip the first stitch. And then I'm going to single crochet in the next 10 stitches. And I'm going to do that twice more. So essentially, I'm just skipping a stitch 3 times and doing single crochet in the rest of the stitches, and that'll leave me with 30 stitches. So now I'm going to skip the next stitch and single crochet in the next 10 stitches. Then you're going to skip the next stitch and single crochet in the last 10 stitches. So like I said, you should have skipped 3 stitches in total, and you should have 30 single crochet at the end of this round. Then you're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet to join. Now we're going to work the cuff vertically in the row. To do that, you're going to chain 9. And then you're going to single crochet in the second chain from your hook and in each stitch across. And of course, you should have 8 single crochet at the end of this row. That's what it should look like. Then you're just going to slip stitch in the very first 2 stitches of round 37, which of course is the last round of my sleeve. Now you're going to turn, but you are not going to chain 1. We are simply going to skip over those slip stitches and work our way back up that row. So skip those 2 slip stitches, and you're going to single crochet through both loops of the first stitch. Then you're going to single crochet through the back loops of the next 6 stitches. And then you're going to single crochet through both loops of the last stitch. Now you're going to chain 1 and turn. You're just going to repeat that. You're going to single crochet through both loops of the first stitch, then through the back loops of the next 6 stitches, and then through both loops of the last stitch. Now you're going to slip stitch in the next 2 open stitches of round 37. And you're just going to repeat rows 2 through 3 until all the stitches of round 37 are used. So you'll turn, you'll skip those 2 slip stitches, then you'll single crochet through both loops in the first stitch, then you'll single crochet through the back loops of the next 6 stitches, and then you'll single crochet through both loops of the last stitch. Now you'll chain 1 and turn and work your way back down, single crochet through both loops, single crochet through the back loops of the next 6 stitches, and then single crochet through both loops of the last stitch. And you're just going to slip stitch into the next 2 open stitches. So you're just going to repeat this process all the way till you get to the very end. I'll meet you at the end. So here we are at the end. I will slip stitch into the very first stitch of the round. And then I'm going to chain 1. Now you're going to fold your sleeve just like this so that the right sides are together. So I'm putting the first and last rows together, and then I'm simply slip stitching through all 8 singles that I made in both layers. Then you're going to cut your yarn and fasten off. Then of course you're going to weave in your tails. And once you do that, you just need to repeat the process exactly the same on the other sleeve, making sure that round 1 is the same on both sleeves so they're identical, and you are done. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial today. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching.